à la Chambre des communes et ramener chez nous. Merci beaucoup. And now in English. After 8 years of Trudeau and the NDP, Parliament is back, and there will be a stark debate between the common sense Conservatives, who will free Canadians to earn powerful paychecks that buy affordable food, gas, and homes in safe neighborhoods, or Justin Trudeau and the NDP Liberal government, who take your money, punish your work, tax your food, double your housing bill, and unleash crime and chaos in your community. Common sense Conservatives have two main priorities. One, reverse the housing hell that Justin Trudeau has caused for Canadians paying mortgages, buying homes, or renting apartments. And two, axing the Trudeau NDP carbon tax to bring down the cost of food, gas, and heat. But let's just review where we are. After 8 years of Justin Trudeau, everything costs more. Work doesn't pay. Housing costs have doubled. Rent has doubled. The needed mortgage payment and down payment for a home have doubled. 9 in 10 young people, for the first time ever in our history, say they will never be able to afford a home. Toronto is now the worst housing bubble in the world, according to UBS. 8 years ago, when I was housing minister, it didn't even rank on the list. Vancouver is now the third most overpriced housing market on earth when you compare median home price to median income. Canada has the riskiest mortgage debt of all 40 OECD nations. Home prices in Canada are 50 to 75% higher than the United States, and in border towns, they are often 3 times higher. You can buy a castle in Sweden for the price of a 2-bedroom in Kitchener. Justin Trudeau has caused this housing hell 2 ways. One, his massive inflationary deficits have not only doubled the debt and added more debt than all prior prime ministers combined, but they've driven up interest rates faster than at any time in monetary history. And that means higher mortgage payments, means more people have to rent, and they have to therefore compete for a scarce supply of rental properties. Second thing he's done is he's ballooned local bureaucracies who block home building. He gives bigger and fatter checks to local government gatekeepers who have made it so that Canada has the fewest homes per capita of any country in the G7, even though we have the most land to build on. Housing should be dirt cheap in Canada. After all, we have the most dirt to build on. But after 8 years of Trudeau, we have the worst housing costs in the world. Justin Trudeau is making the problem worse still. We saw some of his solutions. So the problem is that local government bureaucracies are adding as much as $1.3 million to the cost of every house with their permitting delays and their development charges. So Trudeau has created a new federal bureaucracy so that the local bureaucracies can fill up more paperwork to get funding from the federal bureaucracy over a time span that takes 1.5 years to go by, so that he can send a politician to congratulate the bureaucrats and hold a photo op about houses that will one day be built. Interestingly, the Housing Accelerator Fund he has created costs $4 billion. And how many houses has it accelerated? 0. Not one new house has been built. 0. They've had one photo op in 1.5 years, and they call this acceleration. This is not acceleration. This is bureaucracy. My common sense plan gets rid of bureaucracy to build homes. I'll bring in a mathematical formula that gives 1% more funding to a municipality if they beat their home building targets by 1%. If they miss their target by 1%, they'll get 1% less money, and so on and so forth. I will require they permit 15% more homes per year, or they will lose their money. But those that beat the target will get a bonus. 15% a year compounded doubles home construction in 5 years. They don't have to fill out paperwork for bureaucrats in Ottawa. They just have to get out of the way and let builders build. And if they do, money will appear in their bank account. It's a very simple, organic, mathematical formula that runs itself. With math, not politics. We have a math problem. Not enough houses for the number of humans. How do you fix the math problem? With a mathematical solution. And that's what my common sense plan does. We will bring home lower prices by axing the carbon tax, by getting rid of the inflationary deficits to bring down interest rates and the cost of living. We will make sure people live in safe neighborhoods with jail and not bail for repeat violent offenders, and with treatment, not decriminalized or tax-funded drugs for those afflicted with addiction. We will bring home the Canada we know and love. Your home, my home, our home. Let's bring it home. Thank you.
Mr. Poilievre, can I ask you about that Liberal housing plan? It seems there's a lot of similarities with what you have on offer. In some cases, it's just a carbon copy. Do you have to go back to the drawing board now to come up with something new to challenge the Liberals on this issue?
No. They've plagiarized my message, but not my policy. And what they've done is created a new photo op fund that has local bureaucracies filling out paperwork to a federal bureaucracy to invite a politician from the Trudeau cabinet to go and do a photo op, mostly to give money for housing that would have been built anyway. What I'm proposing is a simple mathematical formula that says if you build more, you get more. If you build less, you get less. That is the only way we're going to solve this. You'll note that since Trudeau created his accelerator fund, housing construction is actually down 32%. This might actually be the worst year for home building in decades based on CMHC estimates. So what I'm saying to the Prime Minister is we don't need more photo ops. We don't need more spending. We need to build homes, not bureaucracy.
I spoke to Mike Moffat. He said one of the benefits of the Housing Accelerator Fund is that it addresses some of the structural barriers to housing that you've identified that municipalities can hold the pen for, whereas what you're talking about, municipalities could hit their targets through complete accident, or they could fail to because, you know, the high interest market we're in right now might lead to slowdown in construction. So what would you say to that criticism that this is about removing structural barriers, whereas your plan might not do that?
My plan is about results. My plan says to the cities, I don't care how you do it. Just do it. My plan says increase home building by 15% per year. If you exceed that target, you get a bonus. If you miss it, you get a penalty. All that matters is the results. Mr. Moffat really believes that the solution to excessive local bureaucracy is for federal bureaucrats to then force municipal bureaucrats to fill out paperwork and then analyze that paperwork and come back with another grant. And by the way, their announcement the other day was for one town. So what are we going to see now? They're going to go one photo op at a time? They now have to do possibly 100 of these individual photo ops to cover the whole country. I blanket the nation with a very simple mathematical formula that says to every single municipality, very simple, folks, if you get out of the way and let builders build, you get more money. If you don't, you get less money. Go at it.
You keep saying that your plan will have less bureaucracy because it's a simple, they build more, they get more. But who's going to monitor it and who's going to decide when they actually meet that plan, if not for bureaucrats? How's that going to work?
It's not, there's nothing to decide. The Stats Can tracks it.
But does not someone at some point have to say, yes, you qualified? Is that not bureaucracy?
No, they don't. It's all math.
Can I ask you about your refresh this summer, Mr. Poilievre? It seems to be paying off in the polls. You got a new look, slightly different tone. Is there anything that we can expect differently from you this fall in Parliament?
No.
Mr. Poilievre, It's interesting that you link federal policies to municipal policies. I'd like to know what your plan is to get housing starts at the provincial level, because it is a tri-level responsibility. And there are some concerns in terms of provincial responsibility. We've seen what is going on in regards to the Greenbelt in Ontario. Premier Ford is a conservative. I would like to know whether or not you have actually had discussions with conservative premiers about their actions and their accountability.
I think the bottom line is we need to get gatekeepers out of the way at all levels of government. And Justin Trudeau has had 8 years to do that. He hasn't done it. He's built bureaucracy without building homes. My common sense plan removes the government gatekeepers to build, build, build. And my track record is clear. When I was housing minister, housing cost half as much. Rent was half. The average needed mortgage payment was half. The average down payment was half. So I've done it before. How will I work with premiers? You've seen it. With half the cost and less expensive federal bureaucracy. That's my common sense approach.
Part of the reason?
The Liberals this week are calling the heads of the biggest grocery companies to Ottawa to talk to them about grocery prices. Do you think that's a good idea, or that anything good could come out of that?
Well, I would just point out that Justin Trudeau has been Prime Minister for 8 years. If he thinks that, if he admits now that grocery prices and grocery profits are too high, why hasn't he done anything about it? He's the Prime Minister. He's been in charge of grocery prices as much as today as he has been for the last 8 years. His only plan so far has been to bring in a carbon tax on the farmers who produce the food and the truckers who ship the food. Let me give you the results Justin Trudeau has delivered. Under Justin Trudeau, onions are up 69%. Cabbage is up 70%. Carrots are up 74%. Lettuce, 94%. So my question to Mr. Trudeau is, now he's going to hold a big meeting to reverse the massive increase in onions, cabbage, carrots, and lettuce. He says by Thanksgiving he wants results. So will lettuce prices be back down to their original price by Thanksgiving? Will carrots be back down to their original price by Thanksgiving because of this big photo op he's holding with grocery store CEOs? This is more political theater. Justin Trudeau is an actor. What we actually need is action.
You don't think that the grocery...
Après 8 ans de Justin Trudeau, yes, do I think that the grocery stores are making... Of course they're making way more money than they should, because that's what happens when governments print money and cause inflation. The rich get richer. The corporations roll in dough. I told everyone this was going to happen when they started printing money. I stood in the House of Commons in the fall of 2020, and I said that the money printing bonanza would lead to more billionaires making more money, and that the working class was going to get screwed. And that is exactly what has happened. 3 years later, exactly what I predicted. The rich are getting richer, and the working class and seniors are getting poorer because of the inflationary policies of Justin Trudeau and the NDP, which is exactly what I said would happen. The only way to reverse it is to cap the spending, balance the budget, and bring down inflation, and to axe the carbon tax to lower the cost of heat, gas, and food. En français, oui, est-ce que les grandes chaînes d'épicerie gagnent beaucoup plus d'argent après 8 ans de Justin Trudeau et les néo-démocrates? Oui, mais c'était évident. Quand le gouvernement imprime de l'argent, ça gonfle l'inflation et toutes les grandes corporations gagnent plus d'argent parce qu'ils peuvent mettre davantage de coûts sur les épaules des aînés et la classe ouvrière. C'est exactement ce que j'ai prévu en automne de 2020 à la Chambre des communes, où j'avais souligné que la richesse des 50 plus riches, les 50 gens les plus riches au Canada était en train de gonfler. Donc, quand on cause de l'inflation, c'est toujours très bon pour les grandes corporations et pour les plus riches. Mais ça détruit la classe ouvrière et les aînés. C'est pour ça qu'il faut geler des dépenses, équilibrer le budget et éliminer la taxe Trudeau-Blanchette pour réduire le coût de la vie pour monsieur et madame tout le monde. And if I could just say in conclusion, Justin Trudeau was at a socialist summit in Montreal yesterday where he said that radical socialist governments around the world need better messaging. I actually think they have the best messaging they could have. The problem is what they are communicating is terrible. These socialist governments cause misery, poverty, homelessness, hunger, rampant inflation, and of course that's hard to communicate. Justin Trudeau doesn't need better talking points or photo ops. What he needs to do is throw away his entire radical policy agenda, which has given us the worst inflation in 4 decades, has doubled housing costs, and has unleashed crime and chaos in our streets. The good news is life wasn't like this before Justin Trudeau, and it won't be like this after he's gone. A common sense conservative government will bring home the Canada we know and love by axing the carbon tax, balancing the budget, lowering the costs, and unleashing a massive building boom so our youth can once again enjoy homes they can afford in safe neighborhoods. Let's bring it home.